Well, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my review of When Evil Lurks, a horror movie that I've watched twice now. Because the first time I fell asleep during it because I was pretty tired that day, so I had to rewatch it. And so after rewatching it, I'm here to give my thoughts on it. So, what I think about When Evil Lurks, I liked it. It's a good movie. It's not great, but it's not a terrible movie either. Strange plot, I will give it that. Like, it has a very strange plot for a horror movie. Um, I'll start with some negatives first. It's slow. It's a slow movie, even though it's under 2 hours. It's a slow burn. Like watching the movie, even though it's 2 hours, it feels like it's longer than a 2 hour movie. And the pacing at the start of it's kind of off. Like you can tell a little bit of parts during it, the pacing's way off. Maybe the part where the first possessed person comes into play and they start having to move that person and they head back to the shed. Like the pacing's all over the place during that scene. And same when you see the main character's kids for the first time. That scene's also very paced strangely. But this will be probably a little shorter review. But when it comes to When Evil Lurks, I kind of agree with some people have said on Rotten Tomatoes and what some people have said on Metacritic and IMDb. It is a horror movie that definitely hits hard. Like there are some very messed up scenes in in this movie. You see a dog get shot during the movie. You see a murder suicide with an axe during the movie. This is a crazy scene. You see overweight people getting killed. Children getting attacked. Demon possession. Uh, Someone being born and then walking off the sunset. Lots of grief in this movie. Tons of grief. So if you're not a person that handles grief well, I do not recommend watching this movie. It has some pretty nice scares in it too. I'll give you When Evil Lurks that. It does have a lot of pretty interesting scares in the movie, and I like the ending of it. The ending for a movie like this, it makes sense that the ending is what it is. I'm not going to spoil it, but if you have Shudder, I do recommend seeing it so you can see how crazy it is. The movie can also be a weird one with the demon parts of it. Is it the weirdest movie on Shudder or something like that? Oh hell no, no. If you want to see a weird movie, just go watch Mad God, a movie made by Phil Tippett, which took 30 years to make. I may talk about that movie at some point as my big Halloween review. But I figured keep When Evil Alerts review short and sweet. So out of 10, I would give When Evil Alerts about a 7.2, 7.3. Enjoyed it. Good movie. Um, is it the best thing that's came out in Shudder this year? No, and same with horror movies this year. This isn't the best horror movie that's came out this year. There are better horror movies. I prefer Evil Dead Rise to this. I prefer Skim Rank to this, which I know people might get offended by that or something like that. But hey, it's my opinion. They have to suck it up. When it comes to my opinions about movies, is it the worst movie I've seen this year? Hell no. There's been some terrible movies that have came out this year that I've seen. Winnie the Pooh is one of them. That movie was not good at all. And what I mean by that, I mean Blood and Honey. But that's just my quick review of When Evil Lurks because I want to stop talking about this and talk about my thoughts on Alan Wake 2. All right, so welcome to this. This is the Alan Wake website, but Alan Wake 2. I'm so far right now on chapter 3, which I think there's 8 to 9 chapters, and they all last a good amount of time depending on what you do in it. Now, I'm a person who likes to explore these games since this is a survival horror game, so I like to take my time and they see what's going on around the world in Alan Wake 2. So your first I love the. I will give this thing. I will give the game major props for its opening. The first part of the game that you play, I'm going to spoil it now because it's pretty cool. But the first part of the game that you play as a victim. You find out about how kind of the killings kind of start that happen, and that the FBI agent right here, Saga Anderson, is investigating. The person that the cultists end up killing is Robert Nightingale, a character from Alan Wake, the first Alan Wake game. And you even see his brutal death and everything. By, of course, getting his heart taken out of his chest. Yeah, very, very interesting death. I'll definitely say that for a fact. And they cut it right open. They cut his chest. Whew, they tie him down to a bench. They cut his chest open to rip his heart out. They even put texts. And they even put like words and a sentence on his heart, which is crazy. And that's just the first part. Then there's also a good jump scare in that part too, with a deer coming out of a bush, which is a fake out. After that, you do play as Saga for a couple of parts. The first two chapters you play as Saga, trying to figure out what happened to Nightingale and to piece out what's going on. Chapter one is Saga and her partner Alex Casey basically finding out about uh, Nightingale's body and doing autopsies on it and searching it for evidence. Uh, definitely the horror survival exploration aspect comes into play very early because it's something that I did, and you can definitely miss stuff. By the way, not just story parts, but you can also miss pretty big optional parts of the game. For example, pretty early on, you find a lunchbox. The Alex Casey lunchboxes. Uh, you find those, they have little notes in them just for fun. It's basically a person writing to their child, and they have manuscript pages in them. Manuscript pages work in two ways. You have the physical form, which is the forms of them that are book pages, which, like the first game, Wake narrates them to you, which is cool. I like it. And not only that, they do it in live action in this game, which is even better. And then you have the fragment page, master pages, which are those you use to upgrade your weapons. Which I do like the upgrades for the weapons. I've only upgraded the pistol so far, but both upgrades have been very well for me. I've upgraded its magazine capacity, where it can hold more without me having to reload. And I did one where I can that my headshot, if I headshot them twice, it staggers them for even longer, which is pretty cool. Um, a big part of Alan Wake 2 is using a thing called the Mind Place. The Mind Place is a thing where using Saga, since she is a detective slash FBI agent, she can piece together on a giant case board evidence that goes along with other parts of the cases that are going on. And the cool thing is, you're not only just dealing with the case of the cult. You have the case that's all around Bright Falls that you're also working on, plus side cases, which are like stuff like the lunch boxes, or these things called nursery rhymes in Cauldron Lake, which I'll talk about more of that when I get into chapter 2. But the end of chapter 1 ends with you ended up finding the first ever Manster page, then going to Bright Falls, to which then you go to the sheriff's station to do the autopsy on Nightingale, which of course ends up going completely bad with Sheriff Brackett completely disappearing from sight when he picks up the Manster page, and Nightingale performing the Undertaker sit up. And then you didn't learn about how to you learn how to fight during this part. You had to fight Nightingale, and that's when chapter 2 ends. Chapter 1 ends with Nightingale disappearing. Then chapter 2 is then you trying to get back to Cauldron Lake, and once you get back to Cauldron Lake, you find out the area is getting flooded because there's been rain going on. So you find out some areas you're not able to go to due to the flood, and once You get down to a certain area, you go back to this area where you found the first master page. You end up having to go to the witch's hut to power it up to find your next step to what you need to do. So you find the heart. Then you go find Nightingale's heart, which is interesting because probably around that area people might find their first Colt stash. Colt stashes are another optional part of the game, which involve combining your puzzle solving skills and math to end up finding combinations to a lock, which is pretty cool. And of course, in those we'll have notes and supplies like flares, ammo, batteries, those types of things. So you go to the general store, you find Nightingale's heart and a shotgun. So after finding Nightingale's heart, you end up getting attacked by a cultist member, and then you defeat, of course, by using what the game tells you to. Which instead of like the first game, you just hold and point the flashlight at the person. Use a thing called a flashlight boost, which makes their darkness go away faster, which is cool, but uses up a little of extra battery. So after that, and getting the heart, you put it into a sign near where you find the first manuscript page. It opens up a whole new other path, and that's when Saga starts getting hallucinations about her son, I believe. And next you know, she finds Nightingale, and Nightingale is your first boss of the game. And for a first boss, it can get a little interesting because I did die a few times on it because I lost ammo. And the thing with Nightingale and how to fight him is, of course, you got to take out the darkness, and then you got to attack his weak point, which is, of course, his busted open chest. But you also have to be careful because he has a giant tree branch with him that could kill you easily. That's when dodging helps it a lot. But once killing Nightingale, the whole area just opens up because of the flooding's gone. And so once that happens, you can explore more, which is where I found the nursery rhymes, which that in its whole self is a whole new other case, which currently I found out so far that it's an experiment by a couple people in The Witch. So back to the story. Once you get down to this beach looking area, you find Alan Wake. And so after finding Wake, you have to go back to your car and back to your base of operations, which is where you talk to Wake, and that will begin the third chapter, or chapter 2.5, which is the dark place part, which is where I'm at right now in the game. So that's how far I am. Which I'm at the part where Alan Wake needs to escape a talk show, which is a very interesting one. Uh, Definitely something that would give the game super high props for is their cutscenes. They have both in-game cutscenes and live action cutscenes, which is super cool. And the whole mind place and writer's room connect so well together. You have sagas, which is about connecting cases together and evidence. Wakes is about changing the dark place that he's in and changing the world around him, which is really cool. But gunplay is good, combat's nice, pacing's iffy, but it's still good. Oh, the horror elements in this game when they're done, it is super good. I like the horror aspect in this, and the survival parts of it were pretty cool too. Alan Wake 2 for me is so far my game of the year. I won't call it the game of the year yet because I'm waiting for Baldur's Gate 3 to come out on Xbox. Once I get Baldur's Gate 3 on Xbox, then I'll figure out which one I find out I prefer to be game of the year, Alan Wake 2 or Baldur's Gate 3. Oh, another thing that's really good about Alan Wake 2 is the soundtrack. Very, very great soundtracks. As they start the first parts about it are about hopelessness and then trying to find your way back into the light. Then it turns into a very dark and twisted soundtrack, and then right at the end, it throws a curveball at you with it, which is pretty cool. I do hope though that it does not take another 13 years to make a sequel to this game. I hope at some point in the next couple of years we see Alan Wake 3. But that's my thoughts on Alan Wake 2, and that'll pretty much end this video. Um, I'm most likely going to do another episode of the Trios tournament on 2K23 tonight, and I might do another video after that, so be on the lookout for that as we'll see you on the next video. Goodbye.